let this go. Before getting into the PPT mode, let me give some sort of introduction about what's happening around us. See, look, there are at different points in time, different buzzwords will dominate, and especially new creations will come into the picture, which will be talked about during the time when it is introduced. For example, if you take finance, people talked about venture capitalists, angel investors for quite some time. But now it has become part and parcel of any business, and especially the financial management. Venture capitalists are there, angel investors are there, but nobody talks about them. It has got into the groove of financial management. It has become part and parcel of it. Similarly, if you take human resource management, a couple of decades back, people are talking about human resource accounting. When IT industry was booming, there was no accountability, because in IT industry there is no stock you can take except the computers, building, networking, and other things. So human resource were the main source of capital. So human resource accounting has come into the play, and a lot of discussion, a lot of theories, a lot of research was going on. Now nobody talks about it. Similarly, attrition. Few years back, attrition was one of the most common thing that was disturbing the HR managers. They were talking about how to minimize attrition, what causes attrition. A lot of things were discussed, and nobody discusses about attrition as on today. In production, if you take, people are talking about cross-border production, and a lot of design issues were discussed, and many other things related to production, just in time, the quality, the Japanese school of thought, all these things were discussed, but nobody is discussing as on today. If you take marketing, e-marketing was a fantastic thing that was discussed, that was researched for quite some time. When Amazon was coming to the picture, people are skeptical to invest into that for a simple reason that whether e-marketing, what people talk, whether it will click or not. So that was the situation. E-commerce, this is again a buzzword for a quite long time. Now all these things have taken the back seat. It is there, it is imbibed into the system. But now people are not overtly talking about these kind of issues. Now, what is the most talked about management buzzword in the last 1.5 years or so, especially after the COVID-19 has come into the picture? People talk logistics, supply chain disruptions. And what exactly is it? Was it not available earlier? These two phrases, logistics and supply chain, was it not discussed earlier? Was it not taught earlier? Was it not researched earlier? Yes, it was. But the wave has come. Now the logistics is playing a very, very vital, significant place it occupies. A simple couple of examples, let me say. Simplest thing is, our own country you take, 15 days or a month back, there was a huge issue of oxygen supply in the whole country. One side, if you take, oxygen was produced to the required extent or even beyond that. Especially in the northeastern states of Orissa and that belt, a lot of oxygen was produced more than the requirement. It gets supplied to various parts of the country. But what happened at Delhi, due to lockdown, due to the non-availability of the exclusive trucks which has to transport the oxygen from one place to another, because oxygen, liquid oxygen cannot be transported in any other container. It is to be designed exactly to suit its requirement. So the non-availability of the containers, trucks which can transport the oxygen, liquid oxygen, or the logistics that has come into the picture. Because of the logistical issues, the supply chains are getting strangulated, and that caused a lot of havoc in the country, especially in the supply. Oxygen was available on one side, and requirement was exactly on the other side. But to see that oxygen movement from one place to another, logistics was most talked about. The COVID-19, when has come into the picture, you know that before that most of the top American, European companies which are manufacturing products for supplying to the whole world, they have moved or established at least one huge manufacturing place factory in China. In China, they have established because of its own advantages of cheap labor and other policy of the Chinese government. So they have established. And COVID disruption has come. So they were not able to get the supply of components, products from China to all other places across the globe. Now, immediately what the word that was spelled by CEOs is that there are logistics issues. Supply chain link is not stronger. It's get disturbed in between. So these logistics and supply chain issues were the most talked about words in the COVID scenario in the business arena. Remember another thing, a car manufacturer has to have some sort of IC chips which are required to be planted in the car for it's a smart way of working. Those chips have to come from different countries. The chips are very small or tiny by nature, but if the chip is not available, a car is not complete, it cannot be sold in the market. So such a kind of issue that we are facing, again, people are talking that there are a lot of logistics issues. So the buzzword in the last 1.5 years is logistics and supply chain disruptions. These are the two things that are talked very highly in this particular world at this juncture. And is it a fashion or fad? This kind of issues, when we talk about marketing, what is fashion, what is fad? Fashion will get repeated. Fad is one-time affair. After that, it may not be finding its place. Whereas the logistics and supply chain managements are going to stay, and it will stay at least for about a decade in the prominent side. It is there forever. Already it is there. And now it is at the top of the discussions. And this will continue to be there for the next at least 5 to 10 years of time. So that is why this particular topic assumes significance. And I really congratulate Dr. Chandrasekhar in identifying the future of logistics and supply chain management in the global scenario. So with this backdrop, I would like to get into the future, how it's going to be, because as part of the keynote address, let me address that. Next slide. So here we are going to have, this is a kind of storyline I'm trying to line up. Futuristic key aspects of supply chain and logistics management, traditional to digital supply chain network. Supply chain is already there. It's not something new, and now it's from traditional to digital supply chain. Then features of a modern day supply chain control. It is not a supply chain alone. Supply chain need to be controlled for effective organizational requirements. How our global shippers are evolving to meet tomorrow's demand. This is again, I have given the reference. Deloitte has given a paper on that, and there are some excerpts taken from that, and we are going to discuss. Similarly, on the Amazon case also. Digital supply chain management framework, how it is going to get evolved, and future autonomous logistic network. These are all the things I'm going to touch upon in the next few slides. And why I have put a slide, keynote address. Normally, keynote address are delivered without referring to anything. This I requested Professor Chandrasekhar to put that because people should understand the nitty-gritty of logistics and supply chain network. That's how it is put. You can see it on the right side. Now, you can see the robo looking at various aspects, trying to connect things. That's how it's going to be in the future. The human interventions are going to be minimal, and automation is going to be taken over at a very high level. Next slide, please. Right. So here, the digital supply chain management framework, the focal points we will be discussing in this particular slide. So there are certain things on your left. You can see the digital supply chain strategies. And on your right side, you can see business goals and strategy that gets evolved. That's a blue point. And digital supply chain strategy, down the line, it gets split. You can see the bottom of this particular pyramid, supply chain technology architecture and infrastructure. See, this technology architecture is already there. Now it is getting upgraded because of the new technological advancements that are taking place, and infrastructural upgradation has become the order of the day because of so much of automation, and a lot of machine learning concepts are also getting imbibed into that. Then performance management, it is not looked at whether a couple of trucks have reached a particular place, delivered the goods and other things. Now things are different. It is integrated supply chain performance management. It is not the performance management of individuals or a division or operation in a country. It is an integrated supply chain performance management. It involves procurement, manufacturing, and logistics. A lot of innovation need to happen. A lot of channels are also being part of that. Then integrated execution planning has to be done. Then supply chain operating and governance model are to be part of it. Now, coming to the right part of it, you can see the digital supply chain visioning and strategic development. Every company, you know that vision, goal we might have discussed in all the strategy. It's going to be digital. It is not going to be individual based. It is going to be mostly digital. Then digital supply chain economic model. The economic models are not built in isolation. It is integrated, holistic, and it is again digital. The word digital, it comes in for a simple reason that lot of automation takes place. Lot of things are controlled through the network. Then supply chain models with the digitization of other processes. It is like a multi-channel marketing strategy. They are all aligned together. No division or divisions operating in a country, they are allowed to go separately. They are all aligned towards a particular common supply chain model. Then globalization of profit and loss centers, that is financial governance is not unit based. Take Hindustan Unilever Limited. They have Hindustan Lever Limited in India. Likewise, they have it in different countries. Now, they are all combined together, globalization for prudent financial management. Then, delineation of functional building blocks. So, building blocks cannot operate separately. They have to come together. Shared services, offshoring and outsourcing of supply chain activities. Wherever possible, they will try to outsource for economic reasons. Offshoring as well shared services of supply chain activities. Here I would like to mention a point over here. Now there are a lot of discussion we are having how the IT industry is going to be in the near future. Now travels are all not possible, hotels are not operating, and people cannot travel and stay. So for simple these three reasons, what may happen to the Indian IT industry itself? If you take who are all the major clients, they are all in the United States, Europe, Australia, and other countries. So they take Americans or take especially the American clients. So what they will do is they cannot travel to India so that they can supervise the progress in IT companies over here. So it is completely remote. And people, you see that everybody has an urge to travel, see places, meet people, get exposed to different culture. So what may happen, this is our discussion 2 days back we had, what may happen is the American clients may move towards Latin American countries like Mexico and that kind of area. They may start looking for establishing IT companies or IT service providers. Maybe the Indian companies of all TCS, Infosys, etc., they may even start their own operation in Mexico and other things so that they take the order, but the American clients will be able to travel by road. They're taking a visa, they can travel by road, they can go to different countries, they can see different things. Whereas flying alone is getting hampered, and stay also is getting hampered. So this may happen. So there may be a dent on the Indian IT industry in Indian soil. Overall, they may outshine others. So shared services, offshoring and outsourcing of supply chain activities. The core process is getting digitized. It is not going to be alone. It is completely the core process is under the control of some digitized process. The open innovation and collaboration with the ecosystem, visibility across value chain. Visibility across value chain is one we need to discuss upon. Then analytics-driven supply chain performance management. Analytics. Here again, it's not analytical. It is analytics-driven supply chain performance management. Monitoring and forecasting is being done with the huge amount of data that is being processed, and results are taken out of the analysis. Technology infrastructure for supply chain like GPS, RFID, digital devices, more and more digital devices, handheld devices that will be used for future ensuring the good supply chain. Next. See here, the futuristic key aspects of supply chain and logistics management. Now, as on today, we are already in the COVID era and post-COVID-19 era. Starting point, as you see, it is planning. It is at the topmost part, we see the planning. So here, in the demand planning, it is a predictive analytics, it's coming. It's a demand planning. Normally, it is done by human being. Now they use computers. Now it is predictive analytics. How it's going to be. That's how you cannot take in all the data and come out with your own analysis. The computers, they started doing, and it's being done through the analytics part. Then closed loop planning. This is again, I'll tell you later for this explanation of closed loop planning. Closed loop planning is that the individual customers need to get satisfied. It is not the mass marketing that's coming in. It's an individual customer, they need to be satisfied. Then automation of knowledge network. Then profit optimization is advanced. Not, it's allowed to go beyond the limit. Profit optimization, it is not profit maximization they are looking for, they are looking for optimization. Then scenario planning, of course, as part of the planning, they do that. Then coming to the physical flow, the warehouses are fully going to be automated. No human intervention, every component, you can use a cubic space very well, and the automated warehouses are going to be the future. Then autonomous and smart vehicles. This is again, I'll tell you when you come to the Amazon example and later slide. Autonomous and smart vehicles are already there, like drones, already there, and it's going to be very, very dominant in the future. Human-machine interfaces are going to be high. Smart logistics planning algorithms. Now, algorithm-based planning is going to happen. It is not that individual based or my own guesstimate that comes into the planning. It's a smart planning that need to be done. They use a lot of algorithms for it. Then 3D printing. Now that what is called 3D printing, you need not have a manufacturing plant at all. The design is there, material, like automobile components you want to buy, so that you may not place order at Gurgaon somewhere and then get the component, or Chennai you get the component. So straight away at the designated places nearest to you, they can do the 3-dimensional printing and they can give you the product itself. Just like you are ordering for a pizza and getting it, you can get a component through the 3D printing. Then performance management, root cause analysis is automated. We quickly find out where exactly the mistake or problem is. Digital performance management, and then online transparency. The entire system will be transparent because it doesn't involve much human being. It's fully automated. At any point in time, non-compliance or any kind of a black mark that is there, it can be brought in very quickly. Then order management, no touch order processing. It is not a human interface. Automatically, the once you place order, automatically the order management takes place without any intervention. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and it goes on. Real-time replanning. It is not planning we are talking about replanning. In case if a component is not available, immediately from their nearest point, quickest possible mode or optimized cost way, it can reach you. or if you have to reach a customer on time, on a specified time, from somewhere. It has to reach Trivandrum from Mumbai. If it is not possible by road or by truck, from somewhere from Colombo it can fly, or from Dubai they can reach Trivandrum and the customer will be satisfied. That is a replanning. Reliable online order monitoring. Online order, once it is done, it should be reliable. That insurance also is being done. Then collaboration, end-to-end multi-tier connectivity. Multi-tier connectivity from start to end with many clients. That's a collaboration they are trying to look at. How this is possible is it's like a supply chain cloud they are going to create. See, just look at things. Today you are having a cell phone, everybody is having mobile connectivity. In fact, I had a problem in the morning. I could not join Dr. Chandrasekhar right on time just because of the internet problem. I was working from home. I thought, okay, I had one internet connection, 4 mobile phones with all backups of things. Then suddenly that net connection has gone off. So I was rushing to my office, which is close by. And by the time I started working, booting my system had a small hiccup, and I landed after a few minutes of delay. And I appreciate your technical team, Dr. Chandrasekhar, which quickly. First, I was told that the capacity is full, you cannot enter, 100 is full. And they have allowed me to come inside. I'm thankful to them for the quick reaction. And right, this is happening as of now, and all the telecom providers, right from Jio onwards, they are all either operating to the fiber net or tower business, etc. Now, this Elon Musk is coming out. He is trying to have a kind of a mini satellites above the entire globe. Entire globe. There is no question of some disturbance, cyclone, a tower is getting disturbed, nothing. So if this satellite is not able to reach Trivandrum, cover Trivandrum, this satellite will be slightly changed and that will cover Trivandrum. There will be a hell lot of small micro satellites which will be there on the space through which you will have the connectivity with you. So that is also made possible. Like that, supply chain cloud is being created. Then dynamic network configuration, micro segmentation, that is what the supply chain strategy we are talking about. Next. So on your left, you can see the traditional supply chain. On your right, you can see the digital supply chain. In the traditional supply chain also, it is not completely traditional. People are trying to imbibe technology into the topmost thing, cognitive planning. So that before reaching your customer, they are trying to look at the cognitive planning. Already it is imbibed. Then quality sensing, that is also being done at the plan level. Now, sensor-driven replenishment through the 3D printing, already it's taking shape. Coming to the right side part of it, digital supply networks, the core itself is becoming digital. You see the left side, it is all in sequence, things are moving. Whereas on the right side, it is a integrated network, this digital core system you can see. And if you try to look at the topmost thing, the planning is not individual, it is a synchronized planning. With whom it is synchronized, it is connected with the customer. What the customer wants, it is a custom built products they are going to offer through the digital supply chain network. What the product, same product, what you want, what I want, maybe the color, maybe some of the features that need to change, it will be delivered very quickly. The factories are not routine, mundane kind of production. They are all smart factories. Then intelligent supply chain network, digital development, the development of the product, design and other things, it's all digital development. The dynamic fulfillment, it is not going to be a delay for which people are going to ask excuses. It's going to be dynamic fulfillment, that will be the part of it. Next. Features of a modern day supply chain control, cloud centralized. This is a completely cloud-based thing. You can see some of the must-have capabilities of an ideal supply chain control tower. A control tower should have end-to-end visibility, scalability. More clients are coming, more B2B has to be enhanced, then scalability, real-time data, because there should not be any kind of a disruption. The data flow has to be ensured on a real-time basis. Proactive problem solving. proactive problem solving has to happen. Then cloud native architecture. All architectures are not going to be uh, individual specific. It's all linked to the cloud. Source data from third parties. Lot of analytics things are going to happen. A lot of data will be sourced from third parties. This is where a lot of issues are coming out. Now you can see that a lot of data theft, data is being passed on to X, Y, Z, and all things. So source data, official legal source data has to be taken from the third parties. On the left side, if you take, all supply chain information is gathered at a centralized location. And that is why we are need real-time data, proactive problem solving has to be done, cloud requirement is there. And why we need to have that centralized location is to holistically look at the whole issue. And second part on that, provide supply chain flexibility for dynamic planning and routing. The supply chain has to be highly flexible to meet the requirements of the customer. Otherwise, having the investment on all these technology becomes useless. Right. On the right side, we come accurately predict expected time of arrival. So that we need to do that. Accurate predictive predict accurately predict the expected time of travel. On the right side of the green box, you can say exact time of arrival of a particular component, raw material, or a finished good that is required. Because today's customer is changed. Customer is willing to pay even higher amount, but it should meet it satisfy their requirements. If it is not, they have every liberty right to reject your products. And there are a lot of social media through which they can comfortably, conveniently, they can damage your reputation. So the companies are worried about this particular thing, and they are taking that into their system itself. So accurately predict expected time of arrival by looking at what's happening in the other areas in the supply chain. It is, as we already told, it is going to be a holistic kind of approach we should have. We cannot look things in isolation. Can be customized as per the specific requirements of a business based on the geographic reach, scope, functions, and processes and industry type. So specific requirements of a business, that's what is said. Businesses are varied thing. Even this can be used for service industry. Next slide. See, now you look at the three wheels, one blue, green, and the other one light blue kind of thing. There are three pillars of the future movement of goods network. So the network consists of three parts. That's one is the holistic decision making, which I was stressing upon in the earlier slide. It cannot be a piecemeal decision making. It should be holistic decision making. Then second part is intelligent automation. Automation, yes, it is possible to be done, but one has to be prudently. One has to do it prudently. This is similar to there are a number of automobile majors are in India today. But if we take the earlier years, Ambassador, Fiat, Standard Motors were the only three players in the market. Then came Maruti. Maruti was doing very well, having at a particular point in time 85% of the market share they were holding. Then Daewoo Motors came into the picture, and suddenly Daewoo Motors, they came with a good marketing. They said every 3 years we are going to introduce a new product. Then customers, they lost confidence in Daewoo Motors because at that time customers were tuned to having automobile or passenger cars for decades, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that kind of a thing. They were having, the mindset was like that. So immediately they detached. When Daewoo comes to the 3 years, once in 3 years new model, they were discontinued with the model. So they dumped Daewoo Motors. Daewoo Motors, when Maruti was there, Daewoo Motors went out. Then Hyundai Motors have come in, and lot more people have come in. Automobile majors have come in. Very recently, Ford has gone back. So things are there, rules are there, and many players they come, but they have to do the decisions intelligently. Similarly here, the automation, every company they can do automation, but once they do the automation, it requires a lot of investment. So the investment is not taken care prudently, that is intelligent automation. If it is not done, then the companies may doom after some time. They may not be able to survive. The ability to utilize the right human or machine for work. That is where the intelligence of the system that comes in. Then connected community, the ability to collaborate and connect with partners to see across the network. Connect with partners to see across the networks. Not only this in isolation, my company, I can look at. No, what's happening throughout the world. That's why I gave an example earlier as a small chip that has to get into the automobile, passenger car manufacturing, availability, non-availability of that particular chip has made the entire passenger car as a work in progress. It is not a finished good product. That is kind of a thing that is there. Then on the right side, if we come applying the three pillars, you can see the difference in the picture itself. The first picture, there is an overlap that is coming in. The focus is on global movers explore, pilot, and scale core pillars. All the three core pillars need to be excelled. That's what the global movers they are trying to do. The broadening the ecosystem connectivity to horizontal partners and pure technological players. There are companies which are purely technological players. They don't do any kind of business. They develop technology and offer the platform to somebody else, and others use the platform. That's how things are moving up. Then driving digital transformation, capable of real-time analytics and more holistic decision making has to be done. That's what the first part that comes in. Implementing future of work talent models that harmonize machines and humans. That's what the intelligent automation comes in. Now, the three core pillars, they are there. Slowly they are coming in, and they are when they are trying to merge with each other, there are some overlapping patches which is identified in the orange color. The connected environments, holistic decision making, that there are certain parts which has a connected environment common to other two aspects. Integrated digital platforms form new connective tissue, bond traditional and new data, and enable data to flow freely across the network. That is what has been ensured through the holistic nature of the decision making. And from the holistic nature of the decision making to automation, that particular part, if you try to look at, the value of automation shifts from cheaper to smarter. Earlier, we are talking about China makes four kind of products. The best quality goes to America, and the third or fourth quality comes to India. No, now things are becoming. People are not looking at the cheaper things. People are looking at smarter things. As predictive insights feed into a growing robotic network, creating the physical and digital loop that becomes the backbone of the higher performing supply chain. So the supply chain has to perform. It has to perform higher, better, and that requires some sort of a robust backbone that has been ensured through the holistic decision making inputs getting into the automation level. Now these two inputs gets into the connected environment, ecosystem connectivity, and data standardization drive partner to partner automation. It is not the company division to division automation. It is a partner to partner automation that takes place. We can see in Amazon. Next slide. Then core pillars unify. When they are talking about previous slide. Now the common point gets reduced to that small spot of orange. So reactive supply chains mature to predictive and self-learning. Predictive supply chains. There's no question of a reaction. Reaction is that what happens, when something happens, we need to react. Now it is a predictive analytics we are trying to go, and it is self-learning. You see that how things are going away from human being, the entire thing is being taken over by the system, by the automation, and it is self-learning automated networks. With little human intervention, the human, lot of job loss will be there, but highly trained, skilled human is most wanted in this kind of situation. That is now the focus is on the central part. Next slide. Now you see how futuristic global shippers evolving. A case of Amazon as expressed by the consultant Deloitte. One vendor integrated magic. Only one vendor. How they are trying to integrate. You see, it starts from the right side. If you try to look at Amazon has ships, their own ships. which has 5,300 containers shipped from China to United States on an Amazon-owned vessels in 2018. Is the data given. Sources also we are given Mike O'Brien, who has written an article on 2019. So Amazon has its own ships. 5,300 containers are being shipped from China to United States. Yes, of course, in the year 2018. Now things may be different. Then next part is that it also has its own air connectivity, 50 plus cargo planes with a $1.5 billion air facility planned for additional capacity. Shipping goes slowly, so they are trying to quickly move to the customer through the use of airspace, and 50 plus cargo planes are being looked at. Then Amazon Fulfillment, 184 fulfillment centers strategically positioned close to urban centers. This is like any top city like Trivandrum will have an attached kind of a warehouse. That's they call it as fulfillment centers. 288 million square feet of warehouse space, offices, retail space, and data centers across the globe. 100,000 warehouse robots within operate the warehouses. 100,000 robots globally. That means that you just think how many the individual people who are used to move things within the warehouse, they would have lost their job. Automation has its own effect. Then Amazon, we'll come to the thing. Amazon retail. See, Amazon Warehouse Cloud provides a connectivity tissue. The entire fabric is been given by their own thing, AWS. Then Amazon rental, 600 brick and mortar stores. Physical stores are only 600. You see the other side how much business they are doing, and physical stores are only 600. Amazon last mile connectivity, before getting into that, Amazon logistics. 7,000 long haul, short haul semi trucks. Across the country, across the globe, from connecting one point to another point, they have 7,000 of trucks. Then last mile, Amazon last mile, 20,000 sprinter vans, shuttling vans between the branded delivery service partners. Autonomous drones and smart locker development is on the cards, and that's what they are trying to integrate. You see that from end to end, how much change that are going to come. Ships they are going to move, air movement they are trying to look at, the fulfillment centers they are going to create, the brick and mortar stores for those who wanted to see physically and visit the companies to do business. Then logistics trucks they are owning. Then last mile connectivity with the 20,000 vans shuttling between various partners, and drones they are going to use, smart locker development, which is going to be part of that. Next. Right. So now coming to the left part of it, that's operating through the cloud. This is future autonomous logistics network, not connected with any company. It's an autonomous network which is being envisaged. Faster, better, and cheaper. The faster, better, costlier, no. The customer doesn't want, they want to have it as a cheaper one. The trucks deliver goods automatically. Okay, we'll come to that. Okay, automatic delivery is happening. People arrange, control, and interlink. That's what from the left side we'll start. Arrange, control, and interlink things. Then shelves organize their replenishment. How fast it has to be replenished, that we will try to look at. Then bins are there, display what to pick up. The automatic pickup by robots that can happen. Then the entire thing is real-time tracking with the use of cyber physical systems. At the box we can see cyber physical systems. It is not I think it's all cloud-based. Autonomous replenishment management. No need for human intervention once it is set up. Once you are set up, then automatically it will do predictive analytics, and it will do self-learning, and it will try to solve the problem of its own. All data is available in the cloud, accessible from remote places as well. Not necessarily need to be at a particular place. Then technology, on the right side, if we try to come, technology enabling framework. That's what we are trying to look at. Entire thing is this logistic scenario we are trying to look at. Sharing the whole issue that it's being shared through collaboration. Then startup shake-up that has been a lot of startups are there. Number of things are getting going out of the business also, are getting absorbed by top companies. Then complex competition. The competition you may think you are doing one way, like. There are a number of companies which we have made a study like Uber, Ola, and other things. It may look huge, it may look vast, but what happens ultimately at the end of the day, if we try to look at their financial statements, they are bleeding. They are not able to cope up with the thing. They do a lot of squeezing of their own suppliers and other things. But ultimately, the kind of investment on infrastructure, what they are trying to make, that eats away the whole profit. That's an interesting study which we are halfway and we are doing it. Then your competition is also very complex. We don't know from which country, which place they are going to come in. All of a sudden, it will come in and go up. Just think, some few years back, a decade back, getting a bank license is very, very difficult to start. The third generation bank was the last one that ICICI and other things have come. After today, the government is willing to give bank licenses, but nobody is willing to take bank licenses. People are willing to go for Paytm. They make Google Pay and other things. Paytm, in fact, they are not able to make huge profit. They are, again, squeezed when it comes to the balance sheet. So, complex competition. Now, there is not much takers for bank license. Now, people are moving towards e-payment and internet banking they are trying to do. Then scale matters. Then what kind of scaling you are able to do, it matters. This all again revolves the cloud, logistics, blockchain, robotics, automation, autonomous vehicles, drones, 3D printing, IT standards, then physical internet standards, data analytics. It is not analysis, it is analytics. The entire thing engulfs the logistics of the future. Next. So now the outcome, the source-based destination pricing. Destination, what is the price? Customer is not bothered about all these things. They are bothered about at what price, at what quality, at what time they are going to get the product. This is what they are going to use. And the customers are fully equipped with mobile phones, and mobile phones, the net infrastructure, cloud, everything has to be combined. If you try to look at the overarching, that sales, product, price, channel, promotion, event, whether everything has to take into account holistically from end to end. There is no question of piecemeal management. End-to-end performance management is being looked into from the evaluator's side. Then full data transparency. Complete data has to be transparent and be viewed by the authorized person at any given point in time to have the pulse of the organization. The factory, if you try to look at, always know exact location and condition of each shipment. Exact condition of each shipment, whether it is reached halfway, nearer to the customer, or will be able to deliver to the customer at the right time. All these things can be quickly assessed. Then feedback on current production capacity. Is there any crashing of any machines or any flaw that has happened in the factory that can be assessed online? If there is a production capacity constraints are there, then from other places the products will be moved. Then autonomous trucks, then no need to wait for anybody. It will move from factory to the warehouse. That is at the central point. Automated warehouse, robots, transportation of goods, etc. It happens. Now coming to the core part of it, it's a reconfiguration of network. Automatically the network gets reconfigured. Nobody need to intervene and do that. The network gets reconfigured, warehouse to warehouse mobility, and from which place to which place the product or work in progress has to move, so that at the end, on the right side of it, the customer is waiting and it has to be moved to the customer at the thing it is promised. The drone delivery has become part of that. Drones can scan stocks and support dynamic pricing. Then predictive shipping. The shipping also has to be predicted from what date. So you can see if you buy any mobile phone or any product for that matter, immediately you get a alert that yes, now the order is placed. Now the product is packed. Now this product is ready to move to from the warehouse, from which place, and it is taking off. and where it is going to land. It's whether it's going to be air or ship or by road. Everything you can continuously track, and predictive shipping is part of that. And reroute the shipment via mobile phone. Even the customers are having that kind of a provision, or company itself can reroute the shipment via their mobile phone. This is how it's going to be the future of the entire supply chain and logistics. You can see the entire basic thread is logistics, and through the prudent use of logistics, the supply chain management is going to be better and better in the days to come. And it's not restricted to a factory, a warehouse, a country. It is now global. From you don't know from where you are going to get the product, but you will get the product as promised by the organization. Now, customers are also being empowered. If they don't get, like visa, if it comes 20 minutes late, you can reject it. Like that, the customers, they have a say. If it is delayed, or they can reject products. Now you can see the earlier when the e-commerce has started, number of people used to say that I ordered for a pair of shoes of 10 size. Yes, two shoes have come. One 9 size, one 8 size has come. Now, there's such kind of fonts, it's not happening nowadays. Now, thanks to all automation and self-learning and predictive things that are being used by the logistics, supply chains are becoming robust, and they are more friendly to the user, and the companies are also gain enormously. But the biggest word of caution here is, yes, how long they can go, and because at every point in time you have to invest a lot, the companies have to invest a lot. It has to reach an optimum level. They are trying to maximize. Again, they will land in trouble because huge investment and connected returns. If it is not possible, somebody comes with a new platform, new technology, the entire thing has to be changed. Continuous investment on technology is a basic thing that is required at this point in time, and hopefully the managers are very prudent, and judiciously they will use their ingenuity to make investment on logistics and supply chain management. And remember, this is going to be a greenfield area for at least next 5 to 10 years of time. As the e-commerce was there, as human resource accounting was there, as venture capital and angel investors are being talked about, logistics and supply chain management area is going to dominate. The words are going to dominate, and the area is a wonderful area which may give you a lot of opportunity for job, and also it will give a lot of opening for entrepreneurs. A lot of things that are available for people to get in as a business partner in any kind of a huge, large logistics organization. It gives employment, high skilled employment, high payment, and also a business entrepreneurial